The following segment contains images that may be disturbing to some viewers.
This is a story about what it's like to confront the truth, the messy truth about steroids. And I'm not talking about Alex Rodriguez. It's a story about a guy named Greg Valentino. You guys may remember. Remember the dude with the world's largest arms? Remember that guy? An internet sensation. I mean, he was everywhere. Since then, he parlayed that fame into a column in Muscular Development magazine, which is one of the biggest muscle mags out there.
I subscribe.
I knew you did.
I have bigger arms. I do.
I will arm wrestle you now.
I said I have bigger arms than you.
Right now.
You want to show our muscles? I'm sure I have bigger muscles than you.
This. You're sure?
I do. Come on. Come on, Chuck.
Continue.
Come on.
You gave this story to the wrong correspondent, by the way.
Let me see.
How about damn, girl.
That's sexy. Jeremy,
Maybe you should have done the story. Have the man with the world's smallest arms interview the guy with the world's largest. Few people in this country have had their legacy defined more distinctly by steroids than this guy.
I am the poster boy for steroid abuse. Look what I did to myself. I want my dignity back, I want my kids back, I want my family back. I'm in the middle of a nightmare that's in my own brain. Bam!
48-year-old Greg Valentino was once known as the man with the world's largest arms. He was a YouTube sensation, a celebrity for his ability to distort the human form and push the limits of imagination.
No matter where I went, people mobbed me. People love a freak, and I was the epitome of that.
I think steroids are as American as apple pie.
My first feeling was like, what? This guy must be out of his mind. So I'm like, I'm going to go interview him for my movie.
Chris Bell included Valentino in his 2007 documentary, Bigger, Stronger, Faster, which examines America's love-hate relationship with steroids.
He was an example of somebody who went to the extreme. Of somebody who, you know, if you looked at it and said, who would be the freakiest guy you could find, it'd be Greg Valentino.
At their biggest, Valentino's biceps were 27 inches around. That's 5 more than those of Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime. In the world of bodybuilding, his biceps were the target of criticism.
Those were my money makers. I read stuff about myself. I'm like, you know, I got implants, I got motor oil in there, I got a child growing in there.
When a lot of people first saw Greg, they immediately hated him. Oh my God, get this guy away from me. And he's giving the sport a bad name because he doesn't really look aesthetically pleasing to somebody who would be a normal bodybuilding fan.
Why did your arms get so much bigger than everybody else's?
I took a lot of steroids, I'm not going to lie. I shot steroids locally. I was taking about 4,000, 5,000 milligrams a week.
The normal male testis creates between 50 and 75 milligrams of testosterone a week.
So 4,000 is an insane amount.
So 4,000 would be 40 times the normal weekly production of testosterone at a minimum.
Even the steroid culture was alarmed at his excesses. Former American gladiator Dan Nitro Clark used steroids for 20 years and wrote a book about his experience with the drugs.
Greg Valentino, I never met the guy personally. I don't know who he is as a man, but you know, I heard somewhere that he said he didn't or doesn't have any side effects of steroids. I mean, you look at the guy, he's a walking side effect, in my opinion.
As a kid growing up in Westchester County, New York, Valentino dreamed of being an athlete. But when he topped out at 5'5" in high school, he decided that if he couldn't grow up, he'd grow out. He took up weightlifting and quickly became obsessed.
We would go to the Jersey Shore with my parents, and when my parents and I would go to the beach, we'd drop him off at the gym. And then we'd pick him up at the end of the day.
You know, you go to school and kids are like, yo, look at Valentino, man, he's all built, you know, and I really liked that attention.
Bodybuilding became his world. Valentino entered competitions across the country, and by the time he was 28, he had opened 2 gyms. Even as he got married and became a father, bodybuilding was still his focus.
I grew up to be a big bodybuilder.
Valentino says that during this period, well into his 30s, he did not take steroids. But when his gym business faltered, he began selling them. He brought E60 to the site in the Bronx, where in the summer of 1995, he says a mobster demanded $30,000 for late payment of one shipment of steroids.
I have never been back here. Watch, there's a dead rat right there. He puts the gun in my temple while I'm on my knees and tells me, tell me why I shouldn't kill you. He freaks out, runs over here and starts going, F***, and boom, boom, he takes a shot into the dirt. Boom, two shots he shot into the dirt. Now, as he's doing that, I'm like, oh. But he changed his mind now. He said, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to give you more stuff to go out on the street. You get me my money, and I want an extra $10,000 on top of that, or you're dead.
Despite the danger, Valentino kept selling and eventually started using. He says he was 36 when he tried steroids for the first time.
I was shocked because Greg never, ever had a beer. He doesn't drink wine. He doesn't like coffee. He's never touched a drug, never smoked pot, nothing. And then he was taking steroids.
The drugs transformed his body, adding 7 inches to his biceps.
I walk into a club, and the hottest girl could be there with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend will see me and mush her in the face to get over to me, just to say to me, like, dude, what the f***?
His arms got him notice on everything from Ripley's Believe It or Not to the Jumbotron at ball games, like in 1999 when he took his 8-year-old son to Yankee Stadium.
It was the day of David Cohn's perfect game. We sit in the bleachers, and all of a sudden I'm hearing guys saying stuff. And now I'm hearing juice, juice, juice. All of a sudden they show me on the Jumbotron and I flex. Boom, again, right? The crowd roars. Now they're chanting, steroid juice. So my son goes, Dad, what are they saying? They're talking about you.
Were you embarrassed to tell your son that you were taking these drugs?
Yeah, I didn't want him knowing.
Valentino's steroid use became increasingly reckless. He used dirty needles, leading to infections. And his biceps had grown so large that when one got hit by a bat during a Little League game he was umpiring, a massive hematoma formed. Valentino drained the blood himself, filming the gruesome event in his bathroom.
You became the man with the exploding arm.
Yeah, I should be the man that needed a lobotomy.
In 2001, Westchester County sheriffs learned of Valentino's illegal dealing of steroids. He was charged with felony possession of a controlled substance and for possessing an illegal handgun.
The arrest really affected me in a lot of ways. First of all, it's embarrassing to be seen on TV with handcuffs, walking out of there with your head down. I mean, you're really at the bottom, and I was at the bottom.
It ruined his marriage. He lost his gym. They took his car. They took the gym computers. He lost everything. I mean, everything.
A plea bargain kept Valentino out of prison. He says he quit taking and dealing steroids, fearing further prosecution. But he couldn't leave the muscle game. By 2002, he was writing a column called The Ramblin' Freak, regularly extolling the virtues of steroids for the 1 million readers of Muscular Development magazine.
Greg's definitely somebody that readers of the magazine look up to. He definitely has these feelings and thoughts about steroids that not a lot of people would be willing to go out on a limb and say.
Listen, are we safer by putting Marion Jones in jail? You want to put Roger Clemens in jail? I mean, are the streets safer?
On the subject of Texas Rangers outfielder Josh Hamilton, who came back to baseball after drug and alcohol addiction, Valentino is even more emphatic.
It's okay to do cocaine. It's okay to do all that because you can always come back from that and you're a hero. But if he took steroids, which was a performance enhancer, whoa, then it'd be a different story.
Yeah, but you're not cheating the game if you're taking heroin.
You're cheating life. You're cheating. You're hurting everybody around you. Who are you hurting when you take steroids?
What's changed since we last talked?
You know, I've actually had like a lot of things happen to me personally. You know, I never had anxiety in my life. And it started that night with the ESPN thing. I guess that started jarring loose a lot of, you know, deep things that I had inside me.
Like how his children view him. Valentino's wife took them 10 years ago when she left him. His 19-year-old son, Paul, no longer speaks to him.
What does your relationship with your son mean?
It's everything. I don't have a relationship with him. He wants nothing to do with me. I haven't seen him in years. And to him, I'm an embarrassment. You know, I'm an embarrassment.
He sees his 11-year-old daughter, Gina, several days a week. But an event at her school a few days after our first interview shocked Valentino.
She said, well, you were in a video on drug abuse. And they show all the different types of drugs. And here's Greg Valentino, the example of steroid abuse. I couldn't believe this. And then the kids are saying, well, you know what? But A-Rod did steroids, and he's getting paid millions of dollars, and he's cool. Your dad's cool, too. Don't even worry about it. I couldn't breathe. Like it was the end of my life.
Everything he had done in his career and everything he had done in his past hit him at that point. People have epiphanies in different ways, and I think for Greg, that was his moment.
This is by far the hardest column I've ever had to write.
Valentino has decided that the path to redemption begins with his next column.
I'm stepping out of my rambling freak persona this month, and I come to you as Greg Valentino, the human being.
In the June issue, the readers of Muscular Development will hear a new message from him, denouncing steroids.
I'm done with this steroid stuff, talking about it, glorifying it. I may lose a lot of fans in the magazine, you know what I mean? But I want no part of it.
The way he writes his article and the way he talks about juice and steroids in there, I think it's changed, and we'll see.
Call me a sellout or whatever. I don't care what you think. I feel better now about all of this. You can keep your apple pie. I don't want it anymore.
What kind of health effects has this had on him?
The physical health effects. He just, you know, it's interesting. We figured because of all of the drugs that he took, there might be great damage to his organs, or perhaps his pituitary gland might have shut down, his hormone production. So we put him through blood tests, we put him through a CT scan, we paid for a doctor to check him out in every possible way, just about. And it turns out there's not much wrong with him. He is in fairly good health.